Talking about the 200th anniversary of the Battle of Waterloo. Now, I can just confirm for you that the Duke of Wellington was Anglo-Irish, born in Dublin. There you go.
We'll accept some joint glory then, I suppose, in this 200-year anniversary mark. But indeed, the French and the British have a different definition of, or different reading, historical reading of what happened. I think it's fair to say.
It is fair to say.
That hasn't changed a huge amount, and it is interesting to look at the British press versus the French press today. Le Figaro, the French right-leaning daily, was doing a sort of press review of the English papers, and one of the articles that they picked up on is an article in the Daily Mail where they weren't too impressed with the French ambassador's claim that Napoleon would love the EU because it essentially has achieved what he dreamed of, which is a united Europe. Now, she said this at St. Paul's Cathedral sometime last week. Sylvie Berman said that the French have finally got over their humiliating defeat. This was when, of course, Napoleon was conquering Europe, and the British contributed to putting to bed those ambitions. That they finally got over their humiliating defeat because the EU represents the united Europe that Napoleon always dreamed of, etc., etc. And so she was sort of, I suppose, playing down maybe the less positive side of Napoleon's exploits. And since it gave way to a lot of criticism, there's a BBC broadcaster and historian, Simon Chama, who's actually, I think, doing a series on Napoleon. And he said Napoleon was interested in naked, selfish French aggrandisement, and he was not remotely interested in a Europe of equal nations.
I think that's probably fair comment, really, isn't it?
Right.
Most emperors are only interested in self-aggrandizement.
Right. Well, actually,
that's what they do.
Le Monde has a slightly different reading on it.
Surprise, surprise.
Indeed. And if I could find... here it is. They said, defeat it was, but a glorious defeat, Mark. They actually wrote this editorial in English. It took the whole of Europe to break the French army. Who remembers Wellington? Well, Mark does.
There are lots of pubs in the UK named after the Duke of Wellington.
It is Napoleon who is celebrated today, including in a BBC series.
Not many pubs named after Napoleon, eh?
No, well, I know one in the 10th arrondissement. Yet in France, the Napoleonic legend has lost much of its lustre. They go on to say that actually now there is a more balanced reading of things in France than before, because you even have Les Invalides in central Paris, this massive hotel where his tomb is located.
I was about to say, there's a little voice in my head saying he's got Les Invalides, that's where his tomb is, Mark. It's bigger than any pub.
Indeed, it definitely is.
Hands up.
But in any case, this article is also a warning to Britain not to exit the Eurozone, or to Europe generally, indeed. The country which cornered Napoleon cannot succumb to Nigel Farage. Today, we solemnly say to our friends across the channel, beware, Brexit could be your Waterloo. Says Le Monde's editorial writer. And to make sure the message is really heard, we're writing it in English. Just as in 1815, your future is in Europe. No.
They wrote it in English so we'd understand.
That's
very kind of them. Very kind of them.
So there you go. Just quickly worth saying that François Hollande was not there at that.
This has caused a bit of a scandal. One of Bonaparte's descendants is saying it's a shame.
That's right. He said that François Hollande. That's right. François Hollande should be there. There's nothing to be ashamed of. That Napoleon was, there's nothing to be sweeping under the carpet, so to speak. In any case, the 18th of June is also the commemoration of Charles de Gaulle's appeal. François Hollande was there commemorating that. And it was his first unofficial appearance with Julie Gaillet. But that's another story.
So he had a reason to be somewhere else, or maybe an excuse.
Indeed.
James, thank you, sir, very much indeed. Thanks to Marcus Castle as well with the business. And thanks to you for being with us, because without you, well, we feel lonely. Stay with us. More